news on HLN, continuing our coverage. Missing mom Susan Powell. She's the mother of a 2- and a 4-year-old. Police now suspecting foul play, calling this a criminal investigation. Want to hear from you, 1-877. Tell HLN's the number. Melinda's with us in Michigan. Hey, Melinda, your comment or question here?
My comment is, basically, if he's leaving at midnight with the 2 children and taking the minivan in the middle of the night in that typical kind of weather, why didn't he take the van? The van is considered a mode of transportation to move any kind of evidence. And if he was smart, and if this is the case, and he's got a 2- and a 4-year-old, he would have placed the evidence already into the van to move the body. And then, because of the ages of the children, he would have had to pick up the children, which he would have some form of evidence of her, any bodily fluids from her already on him. And chances are, when he goes to pick up the kids, he's transferred it to the children's clothing.
Wow.
So I think the clothing is very important, that they check the van, that they check the clothing that he wore, and he probably only thought about cleaning his own clothes.
Melinda, you're very good. You've thought this one through. Yeah, you've got some good questions there. Well, let's hit on a few of them. First to Michelle. Michelle, what do we know about any searching of the van that he supposedly took the kids on a camping trip?
Well, here's what I need to make very clear, and of course you've made this very clear as well. Josh is not considered a person of interest. He is not considered a suspect as of this point. He has retained a lawyer. The assistant police chief did tell me earlier today, because Josh is not being forthcoming with all of the answers, it is hindering their investigation, because he will only answer general questions about his wife's disappearance. Having said that, when investigators initially went into the home, they wanted to check welfare with the family, because no one could find where this entire family was that Monday morning, because Josh and Susan didn't show up for work. The kids were not at daycare. They went into the house. They realized no one was there. They backed out. They went back in with a search warrant. Now, whether at some point in time they will actually search that van or take evidence from that van or whatever the case may be, if in fact Susan was even in the back of the van or whatever may have happened, I'm sure that that's something that they're looking into at this time.
Right, and you're right. Even as we backpedal a little bit on this one, Michelle, I want to go to Steve. And what about the children? How do you deal with a 2- and a 4-year-old when they're at the heart of this, and whether or not they went on a camping trip, and if they did, where'd they go?
Well, Mike, a lot of law enforcement agencies work with a lot of forensic teams that are specialists in interviewing children even at that age to find out to some degree where they may have been. But your reporter is very good in what she's digging up, and it all boils down to one common question that needs to be answered: the timeline. This timeline is very, very important, and it will reveal a lot once they have a concrete timeline.
Yeah. One last thing I want to hit on, Michelle. And a lot of our viewers have the questions on this, the marriage. Do we know anything about the marriage? Good, bad, or indifferent?
Well, we do know that there was a little bit of difficulty going on, that they were working on some things. And, of course, this is from her father, who has spoken out, and some other friends and whatnot. And the family did, in fact, file bankruptcy. But having said that, although there may have been some strains along the way, you really don't know what's going on behind 2 doors between 2 people.
All right, Michelle, Elizabeth, Steve, we appreciate it. More news coming up. Keep it right here.